Hey, lovers of learning, P6 professionals. I'm Michael. I'm here to talk to you about another P6 setting. That's right, I'm going through all the P6 settings in this series. If this is the first video you've seen, make sure you check the others out. In this video, we're talking about this project level setting that has to do with resource assignments. It's got a terrible name. It says, when updating actual units or costs. That's the name. When updating actual units or costs. And then we have two options. We have add actual to remaining or subtract actual from at completion. That's what we're going to cover. Are you ready? Let's dive into it. Okay, I want to sketch this out for you a little bit with some bullet points. So here's the setting. And yes, we have option A. When we're updating, remember, actual units and costs. Let's simplify that to, hey, we're progressing our schedule. So when I'm progressing my schedule that has units and costs, so it could be resource loaded and it could be cost loaded, what do I want to do? Do I want to add actual to remaining? That's a little bit nebulous. What does that mean? Or do I want to subtract actual from at completion? Okay, let's see if we can clarify what this all means. Okay. When I'm updating an activity, typically I need to input my actuals, actual hours spent by my guys, my team. Most of the time, I also update my estimate for how much work is remaining on the activity. Okay, so I input my actuals, input my remaining. And what happens here is P6 calculates what's called the at completion, which is the total amount of work once I'm completed. Okay, and it uses this formula, at complete equals the actual work plus the remaining work. So it's an estimate. At completion is a forecast. If I'm still in progress on this activity, it says I have done, say, 5 days, and I still have 6 days to go. So at complete, I should be 11 days. So what happens in this mode when I'm choosing to add actual to remaining? It allows me to be in full control of both my actual values and my remaining values, okay? All it does is calculate the forecast, the at complete. And it does this calculation for both units and costs on an activity. Let me just show you what it looks like, okay? Okay, so here's P6 and a sample project I've got. And again, I'm choosing the first option, add actual to remaining. Let's dive in to an activity here that has an excavation crew assigned to it with 400 hours of work. And notice my layout here, I've got my budgeted units, so how much I'm expecting to do, remaining units, actual units, at completion units. Okay, and then I have the same fields over here for cost, remaining cost, actual cost, at completion cost. Okay, let's mark this activity as started so that we can input some information. Okay, so typically, when we're progressing an activity, we come in and we input our actual units. So let's say we did 70 hours. Okay, my at completion is remaining units plus actual units. That's the option we chose. So 470. So in this case, when I'm working in this mode, I need to update both my actual units and my remaining units. So if I spent 70, I then have to re-estimate how much work is left. Now it could be very linear, right? It could be that there's 330 remaining, but even 25% into an activity, I might have a different estimate for how much is remaining. So maybe there's still 350 left, okay? And that means that already I'm predicting to be over. This is the common mode that we work in. This ability to change both remaining units and actual units and have full control. This is the option that I like. I like to have full control, okay? Just to show you, it works the same way over here. I just need to add a budgeted cost in. Again, we'll make it simple. Put $1,000 on this and put $1,000 remaining. So actual cost, I can put in, we spent $300, and then it just totals remaining plus actual to give me at complete. So if I want to adjust my remaining costs, it's still that same formula. Okay, that's how that mode works. Now, I'm going to flip back. I'm going to show you what the other one does. When we choose option B, we're subtracting actuals from at complete. It's a little different. Here's what happens. I still input my actual values, But instead of me inputting my remaining, P6 is actually going to recalculate my remaining for me. And it does that based on this formula. Remaining equals my at completion, which is typically my budgeted, minus the actual. So it takes my budget, what I plan to spend, hours worked, and then it removes the number of hours that have actually occurred. So in this case, we're keeping at completion fixed. It's fixed at the budgeted value, and then I'm recalculating remaining. Okay? And again, it does this for both units and costs. Let me show you how this works. Okay, I'm going to, number one, reset everything to reset remaining to 400, actual to 0, so that my at completion units are 400. And let's go to the project and change the setting. Subtract actual from at completion. We'll come back here. Okay, in this situation, watch what happens now. Let's say I worked 50 hours. Oops. Let's say I worked 50 hours. P6 keeps at completion fixed and recalculates remaining. So it subtracts 50 hours from 400 to give me 350. Okay, and that carries on no matter what I put in actual units, it will recalculate. Okay, so if I put 400 actual units, it will recalculate 0. So that's how it works. This is a way to allow P6 to recalculate the remaining and try to keep you within that budgeted amount. Now, does P6 allow me to go over the budgeted at completion amount? Absolutely it does. Okay, so for example, I may have done all 400 units and maybe there's still 100 units remaining. And so that calculation of remaining plus actual equals at completion sort of still is maintained here once I'm outside the original budgeted value. Okay, and then yes, now that it's 400, if I go to 450, it still recalculates remaining units for me. So to summarize, we've got two options here. One, keep at completion fixed and recalculate remaining. That's going to try to keep me on budget to hit the amount of hours or costs that I've budgeted. Or the other option, option A, gives me fuller control, allowing me to constantly input my estimate for remaining and input my actuals. That's how those two options work. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I'm not a big fan of letting P6 recalculate any of these fields, costs or unit fields. I prefer that we're in control. Again, it allows you to have more control, be more scrutinizing, and gives you a little bit more flexibility as well of having to change settings midstream and whatnot. So if I were you and you were about to attempt a large project in P6, I would opt for better control. I would opt for option A in this case. Add actual to remaining, manually input actuals, manually re-estimate your remaining work during the execution of those activities. That's what this setting is all about. I hope I dissected it well for you. Hope you learned something in this video. There's a ton more settings videos. Go check them out. And I will see you in the next one. If you want to see more of these P6 setting videos, they're posted here on our YouTube channel. If you want to check out some of our advanced training courses, make sure you check out planacademy.com. I'm Michael. I'll see you soon.